All right, I know you guys are really excited about getting your hands on Houdini, and you were hoping that you'd be able to jump into the application by now, but not yet. In this video, what I'd like to do is take a few minutes and talk about the various versions of Houdini that are currently available. You'd be surprised to find out how many people are familiar with this really cool application, but they don't really know what's available from side effects. Now, of course, we've got commercial versions of Houdini, and we've got non-commercial versions of Houdini. Now, I'm going to start talking about some of the different features that are found in these versions so that we can compare them against one another, and we're going to talk for a minute about pricing, etc., just so everybody has a really good idea. But I'm not going to get into the low-level stuff. When I say we've got modeling, texturing, etc., I'm not going to break that down into we've got, NURBS, polygonal modeling tools. We've got UV projections. I'm not going to get into all that. I'm just going to keep this high level, if you will. But you'll get a picture real quickly, I think, Terry, by the time we get to the end of this, the difference between the apps, what you get for paying that extra money, et cetera, et cetera. So, commercial apps. Let's go ahead and start there. What's available if you have money and are willing to pay? What you have to do if you are interested in using Houdini for producing commercial work.
Right.
Work for profit. So we've got two. We've got Houdini Escape and we've got Houdini Master. When I say we've got two graphically interactive applications that are Houdini. Okay. Now, Houdini Escape, let's go ahead and just jot Escape down, is the inexpensive version of Houdini, and we have Houdini Master, which costs a bit more money.
Right.
But offers a lot more functionality. So let's go ahead and break it down in regards to what we have. First of all, node-based workflow. This is going to become just such a huge thing because that's how Houdini works. It's all based on nodes, and we're going to be talking about that quite a bit coming up here really soon. So let's go ahead and jot down node-based. Again, I'm going to just kind of abbreviate stuff, so just listen carefully to what I'm saying. So, node-based workflow. Of course, we've got modeling tools in Escape. So you can get in there and do all sorts of modeling. We've got texturing tools so that you can take what you've modeled and texture it. Okay, we've got animation tools and animation capabilities. We've got lights, of course.
Yeah. We have to see what you're doing.
So you can say lighting and lighting tools, the ability to work with lights, light a scene, etc. Of course, we have character rigging tools as well. So I'll just say char rigging. Okay, we've got mantra rendering. So the mantra render is available. And with Houdini Escape, we have unlimited render tokens so that we can render on many machines.
I got you.
So let's go ahead and jot down mantra rendering. Actually, I'll just write down mantra. We've got third-party rendering support. So if you're wanting to output to RenderMan or Mental Ray, that's in place in Escape. So we'll just say third-party support. And you guys know that I am talking about rendering. All right? And we've got a built-in compositor as well. And we've got Python support. So we have full scripting. So I'll just go ahead and put Python down here. And these are all of the major features, if you will, very high level of Houdini Escape. And if you think about it, just looking at this, it's like, all right, I can jump in there and I can start modeling stuff, and then I can apply some materials and get some textures connected in. All right. I can start animating things, moving around. Of course, we need to throw a rig in there. All right, so now we have a scene with models in it. We have our set modeled out. Things are moving around, looking great. So now I can bring in a lighter. He's going to apply lights. All right, everything's looking fantastic. I can render it out. If I'm wanting to render out to some sort of third-party support, I can do that as well, such as, again, Mental Ray or RenderMan. And then I can take the images back into the compositor that's built into Escape. I can start putting everything together. And if I want to bring in any tech guys to write any scripts for me, I can do that.
Right.
So it looks like everything's here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like a complete package.
Well, it is a complete package unless you're a technical director and you're working in the visual effects field. Now you're going to want to start getting into, well, visual effects, particles, and things like that. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Houdini Master has to offer. So basically, everything that we see right here with Houdini Escape is available inside Houdini Master. So, of course, we have all of this. Now, let's continue on. What else do we have? Well, we have particles.
So there's no particle system in Escape at all?
No, sir. So if you're a modeler, if you're somebody who's focused on doing character animation, so let's say you've got a very small shop, right? And in your shop, you've got 2 or 3 guys, and you're going to do just some character modeling, rigging. Of course, you're going to apply texture, shaders, etc., and then animate them, render that out, and then give it to your client. And you don't need particles. Well, would you need to buy Master? Because there's a big price difference, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So Escape, or here's a better one for you, Terry. Let's say you've got a small shop with 5 guys.
Right.
4 of the guys are modelers, riggers, and animators. 1 guy is your TD. He works with particles and effects, etc. Would you really want to buy 5 copies of Master if 4 of those guys don't need the particles and all?
That's a good point.
So Side Effects has done a really good job here splitting it up so that you're not forced into buying the high-end package for every single person if you have some of those people that aren't going to be using some of these high-end features.
I gotcha.
So particles, we have fluid-based particles. So that's going to be some cool stuff to look at in the near future. So I just say fluid-based. We all know what we're talking about. I'll go ahead and put part over here. Woo. Okay. Integrated dynamics environment. Well, this is good stuff. So I'll just put down integrated dynamics. So what's available? Well, we have rigid body dynamics. We have fluid dynamics. We've got wire dynamics. And we have cloth. So I'll go ahead and put cloth dynamics. So as you can see, Houdini Master just blows the door off of the things that you can do when it comes to effects.
Right.
So once again, we take everything that's available in Houdini Escape, and then we tack onto that a very advanced particle system, particle control, particle rendering capabilities, etc., fluid-based particles, and then this integrated dynamics environment, and then you just get all this extra control. But the price difference, let's take a look at that real quick, just so that everybody knows what we're dealing with when it comes to purchasing one of these. If you are looking at, and this is as of right now, so we're looking at late January 2008, so if you happen to see this video and it's 2 years down the road, things may change. Make sure to check out sideeffects.com and, well, see what the current price is. But Houdini Escape, we can buy it 2 different ways. Basically, well, actually we can get it 3, but let's talk about the first 2 common ways. First of all, a node lock, so we're locked to a computer, is going to be $1,995. Let's go ahead and jot that down. So $1,995, and this is going to be a node locked license, okay? Now let's say we needed to move around from computer to computer with our license. So if you want to get a floating license, this is going to cost you $2,995.
$1,000 more.
Well, hey, you're demonstrating those basic math skills.
I know math good.
You've been working on it. Excellent. So $2,995. And I'll just put FLT. So there's our floating license. All right, very good. So that is what we are looking at if we're interested in getting Houdini Escape. Now, as we said in the history video, Houdini Master took a radical price drop or price cut a little while back. So let's look at its price. If we want to get a node-locked license for Houdini Master, we're looking at $7,995. And if we, and again, let me just go and put node locked over here. And if we wanted to get a floating license, then we would be looking at $9,995. Let me just kind of divide this up.
What was the original price of that? It was like $17,000.
$17,000.
Wow.
So you can see, big difference.
Yeah.
So now that I've drawn the prices up here, let's jump back to the scenario I was talking about just a minute ago. Once again, let's just say that you happen to own a small studio that's got 5 people working there, and you do all of your work in Houdini.
Mm-hmm.
For those people, model, rig, animate, light.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need master for those people.
Right.
Do you really want to spend $8,000 for those 4 people when you could get away with spending just $2,000 a person? It's a huge savings. You're looking at $32,000 versus $8,000. So once again, very nice to have this option of choosing Escape for those people that don't need everything that is available in Houdini Master. Right? Now, we do have something else that's available. Not to confuse anybody here, but let me go ahead and jot this down. This is a non-graphical, non-interactive application, if you will.
Okay.
That is Houdini Batch. And I shall explain after I make some dividing lines to kind of help keep what I'm doing halfway clear. So Houdini Patch is basically, it's a pipeline tool, right? Mm-hmm. It offers in fact, let me jot this one thing down. It's the most important thing. It offers command line access to all of Houdini Master's features. So command line. Now, why would this be important? Let's say that you are calculating some sort of dynamic simulation and you're dealing with a lot of data.
Right.
Okay? So you'd need Houdini Master, of course, because we are, once again, talking about doing something with dynamics. So we're calculating the simulation. Well, poor Johnny's machine is now tied up, sitting there just churning away at this. Right? Do you really want to keep Johnny's machine tied up when Johnny could be working on something?
Yeah,
and for him to be working on something for the production, he needs a graphical, interactive environment to work in.
Right.
Not a command line tool.
Right.
Houdini Batch offers you that command line tool so that you can do work. You can have Houdini function, calculate, etc., but without the graphical interface that you're used to seeing with Houdini Escape or Houdini Master. Check this out. The cost is going to be $1,495. You can see this is a really good move if you were doing a lot of heavy calculations type of work, right? And you don't want to tie up an artist's machine. So if you were to get Houdini Batch, then you could have a machine sitting over in the corner that has all of the features of Houdini Master, and it's calculating, chugging away, doing all that work, and you've spent a fraction of the cost. So that's a really good thing. So you're getting work done, and your artist can continue working at his workstation. So you do have Houdini Batch. Now, of course, with volume pricing, so you might be doing a lot of calculations and need 2 or 3 license of Houdini Batch. They do offer, cheaper. It gets cheaper as you get more and more batch license. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. So that is another commercial application that is available from them. Something else I'd just like to point out, it's kind of interesting because I do know that we've got some studio people that will be watching these videos as well. Side Effects does offer a rental program.
Wait, you can rent Houdini?
You didn't know that, did you?
No, I did not.
Yes, you can. You can rent it. And at first, you might want to laugh. You might, that's kind of funny. But if you stop and really think about it, let's say, Terry, once again, you've got 5 people. Now you need to bring in 2 more artists for a particular job that's going to take you 3 weeks to complete.
Right.
And you need, let's say you need the abilities of Houdini Master.
Well, if your regular crew is only, 5 people.
And you've only got 5 licenses, and they're all node locked. So, but now you need some more copies of Houdini.
That's right.
And Houdini Master on top of that. Do you really want to go out and spend $8,000 more just for 3 weeks worth of work, and then you don't need it after that? So you can contact Side Effects and say, hey, look, I need to rent Houdini Master. I need 2 license, and you can go from there. So let's take a quick look at the pricing just so everybody has an idea. With Escape, it's going to run you $695 a month. Okay. So if you just needed it for a month, and let's say you just needed a couple more Houdini Escape license, instead of spending $2,000, you could get away with paying $695, one-time monthly fee. But all you need it for is 3 weeks, right? So there you go, $695, boom, takes care of the job. And of course, Houdini Master will be a bit more expensive. Houdini Master is going to run you $2,095. Of course, these are all USD, US dollars.
Right.
All right, so $2,095. Now, you are able to put a percentage, it's 70, 75%, something like that, towards the purchase of, if you decide after
cool.
you've rented it for like 2 months, you're like, you know, okay, it started out looking like a 3-week gig. Now it looks like we're going to be doing this job on and on. Let's go ahead and buy it. You can put a relatively large portion of the money that you've used towards the rental towards actually purchasing it. So that's really cool.
That is cool.
And for anyone out there who's watching this and this information, and you know, it's like, hey, this really could be helpful. You can simply contact sales at sideeffects.com. And no, guys, I don't work for them. I think this is some very valuable information to get out there. So once again, I'm sure we have some studio people that are going to be watching this video, and some of this information is going to be very important. And I'm sure we've got people that's watching this video right now that are planning on going into business for themselves and doing some production work. And the moment you're going to start doing production work and make a profit from it, well, you've just stepped into the commercial world. And so, hey, it's time to actually purchase one of these versions of Houdini.
I mean, how many PMs have we gotten at people asking what's the best value you can have for a 3D application?
We get it all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead now and switch gears and start talking about non-commercial. So let me just go ahead and throw another layer in here real quick, and we'll hide this. So now we're going to look at non-commercial versions of Houdini. I lost my pen for a second. So non-commercial versions. You didn't know about that rental thing, did you?
I did not know about that rental thing.
But that is really cool.
I mean, yeah. I mean, at first you're why? What's the point? But you know, that's actually a very good
it is.
thing to do. That's pretty awesome, actually.
They know their application is, well, they know it's the best. I've got to say it. And it's expensive.
Yes.
So, you know, they're constantly watching out for their customers. I love it. Okay, so what do we have available in the non-commercial world for Houdini? We've got two different things. We've got Houdini Apprentice and Houdini Apprentice HD. So let's go ahead and jot these down. So we've got Apprentice, and over on this side of the board, they should have called it Apprentice SA, the Starving Artist, which is what they're calling it over on their website, which is really cool. All right, so what do we get here? Well, first of all, one thing we must understand that when working with the Apprentice or the Apprentice HD, we're dealing with non-commercial work.
Meaning you can't use this to make commercials.
Very nice, Terry.
Thank you.
Meaning you can, yeah, you're here all week. Meaning that you cannot use this application to generate money.
Right.
Okay? If you're generating money, it is only fair that Side Effects get some of that money because they've worked really hard to bring you Houdini, the tool that you're using to generate the funds. So, of course, that's the first thing you need to know. Now, most all of the features, I'm going to write down most of. I like most all, though. Most all of the features from Houdini Master are available in the Apprentice and the Apprentice HD. Now, we do have some exceptions. Now, on their website, they're going to point out quickly that it's, you know, we've got things like a very small watermark. We've got a limited size and mantra for rendering. And we'll talk about these things in a minute, but I would like to point out there are some lower level things that are crippled or not available when you are working in Apprentice, and it makes sense. And that is when you're, you know, needing to export certain things, like let's say you need to cache out simulation data to a disk. Well, you don't want them to be able to take, them being somebody that's using Apprentice, to be able to take this free application and write data out to a disk that you can then turn around, write an app in C++ to pull that data in or to massage that data so that it could then be read in by another application. So, I mean, and that only makes sense. I mean, that's like that with pretty much all of the different Learning Edition applications. So let me just go ahead and back that up to say most features. Of Houdini Master are available. All right. As I said a second ago, there is a very small watermark. And I do mean small. I mean lower right-hand corner in your view panes and all. And for non-commercial use, it's no big deal. You just don't even realize it's there until someone says, "Hey, why does that say non-commercial?" It's, oh yeah, that's right, because I can't use it for commercial work. They don't plaster the viewports with them, so it's really nice when you render out your images in the lower right-hand corner. You got what they call a word mark or their little watermark. It's the Houdini side effects. I mean, it doesn't get in the way. It looks pretty nice, actually. So small watermark, so that's really nice. Of course, limited to mantra rendering. So limited to, I'll just say to mantra. So let's say you do happen to have a license of Mental Ray or RenderMan. You're not going to be using the Apprentice to output files for rendering through third-party rendering engines that are available for Houdini Escape or Houdini Master. Also, we are limited in regards to our maximum resolution. We can only go up to 720 by 576, which is still plenty. I mean,
that's a
television,
limit.
That gets up a little bit over television res, so still doing good there. Let's see, what else do we have? You can render out to the Dot Pic file. I'll just throw that in real quick. So this is really interesting. Since with Houdini Escape and Houdini Master, there's a compositor that is built in. That we'll be looking at a little bit later on. Now, let's say that you're setting up a scene and you're rendering it out in different passes, and you're going to bring those passes over into the compositor and put everything together and do a little bit of post work. You don't want watermarks all over the place, even if they are small and in the corner. Well, you can render out to Dot Pic files, which is a Houdini proprietary format, and there is no watermark. So you can bring that right into the compositor, and there's what you've just truly rendered out without a watermark.
That's cool.
Now, of course, in the compositor, you start putting everything together, then you render your final footage out to a common format, AVI or whatever it may be, right? Series of targets. And then, of course, you are going to have the watermark. So I saw it. So render.pic equals no watermark. And we only have one render token. Sorry, guys. No setting up render farms with Apprentice. Apprentice is in place to help educate you in regards to how Houdini works. Without the Apprentice program, I mean, you could go out there and try to illegally obtain it. The Where's World.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. I mean, that's not cool. But that's what college students do when they want to get it at home and try to work with it, because they can't afford to pay $8,000 or, heavens forbid, $17,000. So, I mean, like I said, Side Effects just done a brilliant thing here with the whole Apprentice program. Anyone who's interested in learning Houdini can simply download it, costs no money at all, install it, and get going right away. So just a few limitations. It's not that bad. So now, what is the Houdini Apprentice HD? Well, once again, non-commercial. So everything, just like we saw with Escape, everything that's over here goes over here, with the exception of the watermark when you render out your image. And resolution, which we'll talk about in just a second. So, no watermark on renders.
Oh, so they took the watermark out completely out.
Well, in the application itself, you still have the watermark.
Oh, okay.
But again, it's really small in the corner. You don't even see it. I mean, it's there, but you don't notice it. But when you render out your image and you've got this real pretty picture, you got to show your mom or your wife or your best friend, there's no watermark now. They got rid of that altogether. So now you might be thinking, oh, isn't that kind of dangerous?
It's like, why don't we just get Apprentice HD?
Well, because it does cost money.
Oh,
but not much money.
I got you.
Talk about that in just a second. So no watermark on renders. Now let's talk about resolution. Another great thing they did here. This is awesome. Check this out. If we're going to do a still image,
no limit. What, to the size?
So yeah, that's right. If I want to render out just a still picture that I've put together, I can render it out at, as a 2K file, 2000 by 2000 if I wanted to. So there's no limit. I'm not stuck to that 720 by 576 that you saw over here with the Apprentice.
Right.
So that's cool. Now, what if we had an animation? Because now, what if I want to render this out and play it back, on an HD device?
Yeah.
So I want to see it in a higher resolution than 720 by 46 or 576 or whatever. Well, with animations, you can render up to 1080p.
Oh, wow.
So that takes care of, most everybody.
Yeah.
And for those of you that right off the bat aren't familiar, that's 1920 by 1080. That's pretty big.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
So all that is available right there. Of course, still just one render token. So everything else pretty much the same that we have over in Apprentice. And again, non-commercial. But here's the difference. Prices. Over here with Apprentice, free.
Always a good price.
Yes, indeed. Apprentice HD. So now keep in mind, here you are. All the power of Houdini Master at your fingertips, and the ability to render out your images with no watermark whatsoever. Okay? $99.
Oh, wow.
Not bad, huh? Common question is, all right, well, that's really cool, but does it expire after 30 days or 1 year like other people have done in the past, other companies? Nope. It's good for as long as you're running that particular version that you bought it for. So let's say, once again, you get the Houdini 9, you get the Apprentice HD, you pay your $99, you're good to go. Houdini 10 comes out, now you're going to have to pay some sort of upgrade fee or another $99. I'm not sure it's not been announced yet, but you will have to pay some sort of fee, and it only makes sense. So that is the difference between Apprentice and Apprentice HD. So everyone out there that is participating in this course and you're planning on getting serious about Houdini and putting together, your own work that you're going to render out and be showcasing to other people, I highly recommend spending the $99. It's really worth it to get rid of the little watermark that's in the lower right-hand corner. So that's the difference between the two of them. Let's think. Anything else I want to talk about? Some common things that might crop up. Just two of them, really. What if I had an Apprentice file and I opened it up over in Apprentice HD?
So you got the free application. You said to upgrade to the $9 version.
So here's the really cool piece of news. If I take this over here, it opens up just fine.
So same thing with the rest of them?
Check this out. Now we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Vice versa, just fine.
Oh, cool.
Everybody's happy. Okay. So that's a cool thing to note. If I take the Apprentice file over into Houdini Master, so either of these, let me go ahead and see if I can get myself a little bit. Well, I don't have much room here, but if I take Apprentice or this guy over into Master, while I've not personally seen it, it's my understanding that Master will immediately transform itself into Apprentice.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it is cool, but don't expect to take an Apprentice file over in Master and then keep working on it with all of Master's tools and render out using a third-party rendering engine, because you're going to be locked out of those features, because this was an Apprentice file. This was an educational file that you were putting together.
I got you.
So that's important to note. And on that note, let's go ahead and jump back over here real quick. Whoa, that was kind of scary. All right, so back into the world of Escape and Master. What happens if we do this here? So if I was to, let me go ahead and move my layer focus back down here. So what happens if I take a Houdini Escape file and I want to render it out over here in Master? Everything works just fine. What if I have a Houdini Master file and John went home sick for the day, so there's his machine that's got Escape on it. What happens if I take over the file I've been working on, which has been on a Master license, put it on his machine? Check this out. It's going to work. But watch this. Taking a look at his file, inside Escape, Escape's going to lock out. I'll still see his particles and everything that he set up that was available in Houdini Master. But since I'm licensed for Houdini Escape, everything that I don't have the rights to get to, such as particles, dynamics, all that is locked out.
Oh.
So I can't make any changes to it, but I can open the file, render the file, etc. So that's very, very handy.
That is pretty cool. Also a good way to have a nice little security system so they don't start messing with the particles and screw them up.
Well, yeah, if you want to say that, but there's other ways we can do that as well, which we'll be talking about later. So this is pretty much going to wrap it up. Just, again, a very quick overview of the different versions of Houdini 9 that are currently available. We're looking at, for commercial versions, we've got Houdini Escape, Houdini Master. We've also got Houdini Batch, again, which is a command line utility giving you access to all of the features in Houdini Master. And then, as we were talking about a second ago, in the non-commercial world, we've got Houdini Apprentice, which is free, and Houdini Apprentice HD, which is new, which is $99, which offers you everything Houdini Apprentice does, except takes out that pesky watermark in the lower right-hand corner and unlocks the resolution for still images and gives you a lot more flexibility with animations.
Very cool.
So with that, that is going to wrap up this video. Thank you guys very much for joining us. We'll see you soon.